Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bites of Italy. I'm Scotty.
And I'm Natalie. Great to have you here with us again. This is our 26th episode.
It's been a delicious journey so far. We've dedicated the last few episodes to exploring Milan's incredible culinary scene, restaurants, lunch spots, and of course, aperitivo. And today we're heading straight to the heart of the Emilia-Romagna region.
That's right. We're heading to Bologna, known as Italy's food capital. So grab your fork, your appetite, and maybe a nice glass of wine because this episode is all about discovering the true culinary heart of the city called La Grassa.
The fat one, what a nickname.
Yeah. And Bologna's food scene? It's thriving. It's steeped in centuries of history, but also surprisingly not afraid of doing things radically differently sometimes.
Absolutely. That's why we have such a fascinating range of places today. We're exploring spots that blend deep history, serious tradition, and actually a pretty surprising transatlantic twist.
Right. Okay, so let's unpack this. Where do we start?
Let's start with the oldest and talk about Osteria del Sole. I mean, the date is just staggering. 1465, it's wild.
It's hard to even wrap your head around that. 560 years of continuous operation. Same spot. It's likely one of the oldest taverns in Italy, perhaps the world, and certainly in Bologna. Just let that sink in.
Yeah, it's tucked away right in the heart of medieval Bologna, in the old market district. You know, those little cobbled alleys just behind Piazza Maggiore? It's an absolute institution, currently run by the same family in its third generation. And the real hook, I think, is the atmosphere. You walk in and you just feel it, the weight of like 5 centuries. It's Spartan, definitely, but also deeply welcoming, timeless. Worn wooden tables, old relics on the walls, this old clock.
I was struck by the mix of people you see there. You've got students next to sharply dressed business folks, next to older regulars from the neighborhood, all crammed together. There are large communal tables where people sit shoulder to shoulder and chat over wine.
There's definitely this electric buzz. It's lively. But here is the kicker, the really interesting part. Osteria del Sole serves no food. None. Zero. You have to bring your own lunch. And the bring your own food policy has contributed to the popularity of this place.
But why? Of all the places, but in Bologna that seems plainly wrong.
I know it sounds completely counterintuitive, especially in the case of the culinary capital of Italy. But it works. The locals just pop into the market stalls just outside, grab some meat, cheese, bread, and even bring a packed lunch. As the owner jokes, food at Osteria del Sole is so good that nobody ever complained.
I've got it. If you don't like it, you've only got yourself to blame. That's brilliant. So it becomes this kind of communal dining hall.
Exactly. You gather there for drinks and socializing. Crucial point, especially if it's your first time. Entry is reserved for wine, beer, and champagne drinkers. And then, maybe a bit less welcoming, but very clear, non-drinkers are asked to stay outside. You can't tell if it's a joke or a way to avoid the crowds.
But it's still full of people. Chatting, having a good time drinking local wines, fortified stuff, beers, and even champagne. But I have to ask, though, a place from the 15th century, how does it survive just selling drinks?
You see, that's the magic of it. And it says so much about Bologna's culture. What they offer is the atmosphere, the history, the meeting spot, and good local wine at fair prices. They're preserving a tradition that existed long before modern restaurants. It's communal, it's authentic, and the locals truly appreciate this and are regular visitors.
I love that.
So, if you are taking advantage of the bring your own food rule, you need a top tip for what food to bring, right?
Absolutely. We recommend buying an excellent mortadella sandwich at Mo Mortadella Lab, just a 5-minute walk away. This is our favorite sandwich place in Bologna, specializing in truly delicious gourmet mortadella sandwiches, handmade with rosetta roll, super crispy on the outside, but then incredibly soft and airy on the inside. You can get the classic mortadella, which is a great sandwich on its own. But they do these amazing creative versions too, like truffle mortadella or mortadella layered with fresh creamy burrata, some pistachio cream or artichokes. Really good stuff.
You cannot go to Bologna and not properly experience mortadella. But hang on. We should probably explain mortadella for anyone listening.
Good point. It's essentially this incredible high-quality salami made from cured pork. But the key is those big, beautiful chunks of white pork fat, along with pistachios or black pepper. Together, these ingredients give mortadella its distinctive, rich, slightly smoky flavor.
The perfect snack to carry over to the Osteria del Sole. A true Bolognese delicacy in your hand, paired with a glass of delicious local wine and eaten at perhaps the oldest tavern you'll ever sit in.
That communal buzz is great, but sometimes you do want something more focused, more intimate, just about the food itself.
Exactly. Which leads us straight to our second spot. This one is all about traditional home-style Bolognese cooking, pure and simple. We're taking you to Trattoria Collegio di Spagna. This is definitely a hidden gem, like zero online presence, no website, no social media. They rely completely on reputation, word of mouth.
The restaurant is tucked away on Via Collegio di Spagna, the street it's named after. You step off the main path and instantly it's quieter, calmer. You go inside, there are just two small rooms, white tablecloths, polished silverware, and these amazing black and white photos on the walls. They look like they've been capturing Bologna's food story for decades.
That's the absolute essence of a trattoria, isn't it? For listeners, a trattoria is typically that traditional family-run place, more casual than a restaurant, regional food, honest prices.
Speaking of food, their single-page menu features carefully selected dishes that capture the essence of Bolognese cuisine. A must-try is their special appetizer, crescentina, or fried bread pillows. Forget your usual bread basket. These are little squares of dough fried till they're perfectly crispy outside, but still unbelievably soft inside. They come out hot and they just melt in your mouth.
They're perfect for scooping up local cured meats and cheeses, aren't they? Especially the local squacquerone. It's a super fresh, very soft, spreadable cheese. A big deal in Emilia-Romagna. Spreading this salty, creamy cheese on warm, light, and crispy bread pillows is simply irresistible.
It's pure Bologna on a plate. And then we have the main event, homemade pasta. We're talking traditional tagliatelle with ragù, prepared using the proper traditional recipe.
This is a bit worth expanding on. We need to say this loud and clear. There is no such thing as spaghetti bolognese in Bologna or anywhere in Italy. You must never confuse what you eat in Bologna with spaghetti bolognese. Everyone here knows it. Bolognese ragù, the good and authentic one, is served with fresh egg-based pasta called tagliatelle, or in lasagna, never with spaghetti. This is the non-negotiable Bologna rule.
And the ragù here is very different from the sauce we all know from our spaghetti bolognese recipes. Less tomato-based, very velvety, succulent minced meat, rich but somehow not heavy, savory and complex. So, there is a tip. When in Bologna, be sure to order tagliatelle with ragù. You will not regret your choice.
It just makes sense when you think about it. That flat, wide, slightly rough surface of the fresh tagliatelle perfectly absorbs sauce. Dried spaghetti is too slippery.
Exactly. And beyond tagliatelle, other classics are also delicious, such as tiny tortellini served in broth or the famous green lasagna bolognese with that rich ragù and bechamel sauce. Classic comfort food. And for dessert, torta di riso, a light, delicate rice cake with a rice base and custard on the top. Very traditional.
Also, I was pleasantly surprised by the prices. They were honest, reflecting that true spirit. Main courses cost around 14–17 euros per person. House wine was only 7 euros for half a liter. This is a fantastic value.
It's that perfect mix, isn't it? Really well-executed food, polite low-key service, but zero pretension and affordable prices. That's the vibe.
Just as we like it. Okay, we've covered history and tradition. Before we move on to our final recommendation, just a quick reminder. If you're enjoying what you hear, be sure to subscribe to Bites of Italy. That way, you'll never miss a taste of our next culinary adventure.
Right. Now, for our third spot, we will tackle a big culinary cliché. The idea that, Bologna is for pasta, but if you want truly great, high-quality grilled meat in Italy, you'll have to go elsewhere, like Tuscany, maybe Umbria.
Right, the steak assumption. Well, Antica Trattoria del Reno is basically saying, hold on a minute, this place has really focused on becoming, a bridge between Emilia-Romagna's tradition and global steakhouse culture, particularly the American approach to grilling and barbecuing.
So, American barbecue meets Bologna. But we should mention the location. It's outside the city center near the airport.
Yeah, you should ignore the slightly industrial surroundings.
Noted. Look past the scenery.
Not the most picturesque setting maybe, but you will be rewarded with the best steaks in Bologna. And once you step inside, boom, it's a whole different world. Inside, the atmosphere is casual. Simplicity and warmth combine in perfect harmony, making you feel at ease in any situation. The restaurant has 2 air-conditioned dining rooms and an outdoor garden, which can be used during the warmer months.
When you walk in, the first thing you see is a huge refrigerated display case full of steaks.
These aren't just any cuts of meat. Every single steak is meticulously labeled. There is information about the country of origin, and the choice is impressive. Italy, Spain, Germany, Croatia, Scotland, Ireland, as well as Japan, Australia, and Brazil.
This is an unprecedented selection for an Italian trattoria.
It is, and for each cut you have detailed information on a breed of cattle, and crucially, the exact start date of the dry aging process, which can take months. They even have their own dry aging expert. What's fascinating is that they don't just collect labels to show off. They look for specific fat structures, specific flavor profiles of different breeds and locations, factors that react differently to the dry aging process.
That's a serious commitment. That focus on specific cuts and aging times. That does sound like a very American steakhouse, but the way they execute it, the presentation, still feels very Italian.
Absolutely. They brilliantly rework American dishes using Italian techniques and ingredients. And the menu is where this fusion really shines. But a fusion that truly respects the local identity. It's brilliant.
So, give us an example.
Get this. Their appetizer, porco arriccione, American-style pulled pork with coleslaw.
Okay, standard barbecue fare.
But instead of a bun, it's wrapped in a traditional piadina from Romagna. You know, that thin flatbread.
That's smart. Taking the flavor profile, but using a local staple.
Exactly. Or for the pasta dish, they created something called porcello nascosto, or hidden pork, the local tortellone, or stuffed pasta filled with pulled pork.
That's clever. East meets West. Or rather, Midwest meets Emilia-Romagna.
That's incredibly creative, yeah.
And does that barbecue influence extend elsewhere, like sides?
Totally. They apply those grilling and smoking principles to the side dishes too. With your steak perfectly cooked to whatever doneness you like, you can have grilled vegetables like fennel, pumpkin, or even tomatoes, or potatoes done in a way that goes far beyond standard roasties. They've clearly mastered rub and smoke.
Sounds like they're really embracing the whole concept.
Yes, and the staff really went above and beyond. It wasn't just that they spoke English, which is obviously helpful for tourists. It was that they were truly knowledgeable about the different types of meat, the specific aging processes, and the best wine pairings. Their wine list is heavily influenced by Italy, with a hint of France for the more refined sparkling wines. The whole experience was a one to remember.
That's key, isn't it? That blend of global trends with Italian quality and warmth.
Exactly. Okay, we've covered a fair bit of ground, haven't we? The full spectrum of Bologna's food scene. Let's try and sum this up. We started our tour at Osteria del Sole, that centuries-old tavern where it's all about the wine and bringing your own food, that communal spirit.
Next, we headed to Trattoria Collegio di Spagna, a very traditional hidden restaurant whose menu is based on classic recipes from the region.
And ended up at Antica Trattoria del Reno, an impressive steakhouse near the airport that's mastering global barbecue techniques and blending them with local staples. These three places perfectly capture the dynamics of La Grassa. They demonstrate that while Bologna clings strongly to certain traditions, like the Tagliatelle pasta rule, it also celebrates this unique capacity for adaptation.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And this wraps up our culinary adventure with Bologna, its history, its flavors, and incredible blend of tradition and innovation.
We hope this episode left you hungry for more, because our journey through Italy is far from over.
Next up, we're heading north into the mountains. Think cozy alpine towns with phenomenal Christmas markets, world-class ski resorts, and of course, hearty mountain cuisine that'll keep you warm all season long.
So be sure to follow Bites of Italy and join us for our next adventure through the flavors of northern Italy.
Until then, grazie for listening and buon appetito. Ciao!